This is JP Bang Music.
Suck it up, boy. You know. Soak it up, boy. You know.
Boom, welcome to Straight from the Horse's Mouth. Just like it says, soak it up, boy. Straight from the horse's mouth. We cut out the middleman for information so you can go right straight to the direct source. Today we have a special guest today, the DB's coach for Idaho State, Coach Pierre Cormier. I want to be Cormier. I just messed it up. You just told me how to pronounce it, and I just messed it up. So we'll get that all right. Well, we got a lot of big things going on. I'm at a remote location, so a little bit different from the background. But man, I want to give a shout out to some people out there. Definitely to my partner in crime, Ruben Pena, SDNFL Magazine, all the people in San Diego. Got to give a big shout to Top Dog, Chris Smith, and everybody in between, man. I really appreciate everybody. This is a collectively gathering where I've got to this point today. And now I'm just ready to share the world information straight from the horse's mouth from coaches throughout the country and players so they can talk about their journey and what they're looking for in players within our community and beyond. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Idaho State's newly defensive back coach straight from San Diego Madison High School, Coach Pierre. Come on board, my brother, man.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and get going on these conversations.
Absolutely. I want to start your journey, man, because you have a unique journey how you got into coaching and kind of your way from Madison. And I'll tell you where I want to kind of start from. You had Madison High, one of the top running backs in the county, one of the top in the state actually at that point, and that recruiting process and how you landed at University of Arizona. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so that was a very memorable, fun time. I was fortunate because I had a good support system. I think my coaches there did a good job of pushing me on a day-to-day basis. And playing college football, getting a full scholarship was something I dreamed of since I was in middle school. So I just started putting in work and just kind of stayed in my lane. And just out of nowhere, things started to happen. Next thing I know, I'm scoring touchdowns, I'm running fast, and I'm breaking tackles. And then next thing you know, it's the off season, and my first scholarship was UCLA, and I thought I was getting catfished for a second. I was like, "Is this real?" You know, and it was real. So, and then after that, they just started coming in. I think Arizona was like fourth, but I ended up going to Arizona. There was a good connection I had with Coach Rich Rodriguez, Coach Rod Smith, and then I really liked the running back coach, Calvin McGee, rest in peace, at the time. Genuine he was as well. And we had like 5 guys at that time who were coming in from San Diego to Arizona in my class. So it was a special time. It was a fun time. And that's how I ended up there.
Yeah. Shout out to Coach Rod and Coach Smith at Jacksonville State right now. Big up to those dudes. I wish them the best of luck this year. Definitely, man. And then at Arizona, freshman year, you were making somewhat of an impact. And then kind of talk about what happened where you're transitioning to coaching after while your playing career there.
Yeah, so I came in. I physically was not ready to play. So, weight room, and you're talking about grown men being out there. So at the time, they had a really good running back named Kadeem Carey, who got drafted into the NFL that next year. So I was able to redshirt, kind of get under his wing a little bit, and he did a really good job of just mentoring me as much as he could while he was there, and a couple of the other older guys too. So I had a good foundation to build off of. So he declares for the NFL, and I was excited because I was like, well, there's my chance, you know. So I'm coming into the spring 2014, and I'm getting in the weight room, and I'm doing all these little things to position myself to be the starting running back. We go on a spring ball, and I just remember getting off to a slow start, and it was just everything was moving too fast for me. And Coach Smith actually he pulled me aside, and he's like, "Man, what's going on with you?" And I was like, "Coach, I don't know. I don't think I'm losing my confidence. I don't know." He was like, "Man, go watch your high school highlight tape. You were moving." He was like, "You just look like you're thinking too much." So we had spring break. I think we did 1 or 2 weeks of spring ball. We do spring break, and then after that, I'm just like I'm watching my high school tape every day because I hadn't seen myself play in a game, and at that point, almost a year because I was redshirted. So I
Mhm.
come back after that spring ball, and everything's slowing down. Starting to make good runs. I'm starting to know what I'm doing. I'm playing fast, and I'm starting to feel like I belong. So then we progress into the spring game, and at that time during spring ball, we only had 3 running backs. And anyone who knows Coach Rodriguez knows his practices are intense, and
Mhm.
he likes to practice the way he wants to play, which is up tempo. So it's 3 of us, and we're just going. We're getting after it every day. But again, I got better. Came into the spring game, had a good spring game, and
Mhm.
everything was good. And I finished the spring game. I was like, man, this is easy. I was like, I start conditioning and I start lifting this summer. I was like, this is nothing. I was like, it's like high school. Everyone's just a little bigger and faster, but I'm gonna be bigger and faster too. So,
Mhm.
um, and even like talking to the coaches after the spring game, they were, Coach Rich Rod was excited about my progression. They, even told him like we're starting to see the guy we recruited. He was like, we're all excited about you, and he didn't have to say that. I wasn't a recruit no more. I was there on the team, and so that gave me some positivity going into that summer.
Yeah.
Well, spring game's over. You have that post spring time to kind of rest up before you kick off into finals and summer workouts and all that stuff. So spring game was a Saturday. That next Saturday, I go in to get an extra workout in the weight room, and I remember I left there. I said this like after I worked, I had this really just funny feeling in my ribs, and then I went to eat with a couple teammates, and then after that, it just progressed, and it just got worse and worse, and I thought it was like indigestion, and
Mhm.
didn't go to the hospital or nothing. I didn't want to, but that night, like I couldn't sleep, right? Like I didn't sleep at all because I
Yeah.
was just in so much pain. So then the next day, that Sunday, so now we're talking a week and a day after that spring game, I try to go to this like on campus like health clinic, and again I'm 18 years old. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm calling my mom and my grandma, rest in peace, and I'm just like asking them like, go to the hospital if you're that much pain. I'm like, no, I'm not going to the hospital. I'm fine. So I go to this little health clinic, and they basically
Mhm.
say, basically we don't know what to tell you because I couldn't really explain what was going on. So I remember I go outside and I like cough up, like I coughed and like some blood came out, and
Mm.
I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So, and this is Sunday, and then I go through the rest of that. This Sunday afternoon, I go through the rest of that day, that evening, just in pain. So didn't sleep like not even a second. Couldn't because it hurt
So
to
two
lay
days.
down.
So you're going on 2 days no sleep, right? So this is 2 days no sleep in pain, in major pain.
Yes, yes, and I couldn't sleep. Like it hurt to breathe, and I couldn't find
Mm.
a like the most comfortable position I could be in was sitting at a desk like I am now, and just like having my head down. It was the weirdest thing ever. But
Mhm.
I couldn't do anything without being in pain. So again, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm 18 years old, so like it's probably like 2 or 3 a.m. and I'm living in the dorms, and I'm like, well, maybe if I'm thinking at this point, maybe I just need to burp it up. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just thinking of all kinds of crazy stuff. So I go buy a
Yeah.
soda, and it's like 3 a.m. and I'm just like trying to burp. Man, I'm like maybe this will just make the pain go away. I don't know.
Mhm.
So it's like 3 a.m. So that morning, as soon as it hits, whatever time the training office opened, I go in and I basically tell them what I'm dealing with, and so I spend the whole day still in pain. So we're talking like Monday morning. I go to the on campus health center. They do X-rays, whatever. So they're like, okay, you have pneumonia, and then I'm like, gosh, and the symptoms felt similar because I had pneumonia actually my junior year of high school, um, a week before our playoffs. I think we played Mater Day.
Mhm.
We had a bye week though, but I ended up playing that game, and I was like, man, I got pneumonia again. Like, and how do I get it in this time of year? So
Yeah.
I was like, here we go again. So I get some over-the-counter medicine for pneumonia. I go back to my dorm. This is Monday. We have a team meeting because I believe coaches are getting ready to go out on the road and recruit. And it's like probably like 3:30. I go back to my dorm, and at this point, it's like the pain level on a scale of 1 to 10 was a 14. Like it was bad.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sitting there and I'm like walking to the training office, and it's like it hurts to breathe, it hurts to walk on my left side because again I'm just having pain now from my chest and my ribs. And And I'm walking there, and I see some of my teammates like, man, you all right? And I'm like, nah, man, I'm in pain. They're like, dude, you need to see, you need to see the doctor. So I go back to the training room, and I'm like, I need to go to the hospital. And they're like, why? What's wrong with you? You have pneumonia. We gave you, medication. Like, again, pain level was 14, 15. So I kind of, I lost it a little bit. Like,
Yeah,
look,
yeah,
I'm in pain. Like, this is real. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, so,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. So we end up driving so we end up getting in this little truck. Again, I got to walk wherever we walk to. Go to the medical staff takes me to the hospital. And then I go there, and then I just, tell them the symptoms. So I'm sitting in the waiting room. I go, they do some x-rays. Doctor comes out, and then he's just like, hey, this is what you had. You have blood clots in your lungs. I don't know what that is. Like, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, okay. And then at this point, like, I'm feeling better because they have me on like helping with my oxygen and all that stuff. And they got me hooked up to a machine. I'm just like, okay. And then he's like, well, you don't seem, that didn't scare you. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. And he was like, well, I can tell you right now, you came in just in time. And then that's when as soon as he made that comment, I was like, oh, this is real. So I stayed in the hospital for, I can't remember how many days, but I remember I got out on my 19th birthday, which was kind of, so it was my birthday. I'm waking up in the hospital. I probably get out that afternoon. And then we progress into like the end of the semester, finals, all that. I'm supposed to have a follow-up with a doctor off campus in Tucson as soon as we get back. So they put me on like some medication, like having to give myself shots twice a day in my stomach, and that was a whole nother deal. So I go home back to San Diego for like a little 2 or 3 week break, whatever we got. Go back to Tucson, and the doctor's like, hey, we recommend you not play football anymore because of the contact. And I was just, in the back of my mind, something was telling me that he might tell me that, just because I kept like hearing about how serious that was. And then he told me that, I just sat there and just looked at him, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, and then So
I mean, at 19, man, I can only imagine the sport that you love and that you've been playing all this time and had so much success that they're telling you now that, hey, we recommend that you don't do it because of it's a life-threatening situation, not because of anything else. Not like you can rehab it back, right? Can't rehab it back and get it back. It's like, hey, man, you got to stop playing. This is something life or death. And the reason why I wanted to go into the story, man, because I think, one, we're warriors, right? When you play football, you're a warrior. You're taught to embrace pain. You're taught to like deal with it, figure out how to deal with it. And if you're hurting, it's for wimps, right? It's wimps. If you I want to use the other word, but if you're in pain and you're showing that you're a wimp, you're weak, it's a sign of weakness, obviously. Yeah. And I want kids to understand that looks to this, and coaches and everybody else. You guys got to learn how to deal with that as well. Like when it gets to a point that's intolerable, like you got to, that it's already too late. It's already too late to kind of deal with it. And I know your journey from your success, and I'm so thankful you shared that story. I don't even know if anyone ever asked you or you told that story before, at least to our audience. But I'm so thankful that you shared that story, because I really want young people to understand you have to look and take care of your body and get in tune with your body, especially as you get to the collegiate area, because their job is to push you as a warrior, right? Push you through the pain, push you through everything to make sure they get you to maximize your thing out. And you were just one of the ones that recognized it and were able to step up and, well, obviously you were in pain, but I mean, you were able to step up and figure it out, man. And I really applaud you for definitely talking about that, because I think so many of us don't. We just deal with it. We just try to figure. I mean, not myself anymore, but I mean, all these players just kind of just deal with it because they're afraid of losing their position. They're afraid of disappointing the coach and parents, obviously, and and everything else above, the whole mental state that comes along with it. So that's crazy, man. Thank you seriously, thank you for sharing that, and I'll let you continue now. Transitions, I think you go from there. They're saying you can't play football anymore. What's the next steps for Pierre? What's the next steps at that point?
Yeah, so I was like enrolled in a summer school class at that time, and then like at that point I was just so isolated. Like I was in a bad place. Like I didn't I didn't want to be around anybody. So I had to finish a summer school class, which I ended up failing. I'm not gonna lie, I failed that. 'Cause I was just like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So I go home. So I go home for like the month of July, and then that's when things just got confusing because I was like, I'm a Division I football player, at a Pac-12 school, and I'm home in I'm home for summer, and I was like, that's not usually how things. Like I should be, there working, training, and just getting ready to go win a Pac-12 championship, pursue a Rose Bowl, all that stuff. At the time, how I was thinking. So that was a difficult time. I think like during that time, I think I was like 183 pounds in the spring, and I got up to like 209, like just
wow.
from
Okay.
playing video games, and I couldn't work. The other thing, I couldn't work out. So like, the doctors were like, don't work out. It's not, you got to wait a month or whatever before you can exercise. And then so I was just playing NCAA and eating junk food all day and just not being around people. So yeah, I blew up a little bit, and I went back home. I went back home, and some people made a couple comments about that. I remember that. But it was all good. So then I finished the month of July, and I was like, well, I still gotta do school. I knew that in the back of my mind, but my family, we were like, no. Like we're getting second and third opinions from doctors. Like this isn't it. So I was just like, yep, this ain't. And then the problem was, at the time, and this is something for kids too. Like it's good to take people's advice, but sometimes if you take too many people's advice, things can get confusing. So like you really got to identify like if it's family, mentors, whoever it is, coaches. Like you have to have a small circle of people whose opinions and that you trust, because at that time I just had so many people telling me like that it just kind of just making the whole thing confusing. Like, oh, you should be playing. Oh, well, you're probably never going to play. Just all this different stuff. So I don't know what's going on. But my family was like, no, we're going to get you a second and third opinion. Like this isn't the end. So I was like, okay. So I go through that fall semester at Arizona. Starting to work, get back into shape, but I'm not in a good place. I'm still isolated, and I did a couple of my teammates, but that was tough because like that was the year when Arizona was like they were doing good, and I was happy for my teammates, but it was tough because I was like I should be out there with them. And I think that was the year they went to the Pac-12 championship and lost to Marcus Mariota, and that team that went to the national championship that year.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so that was tough, and then so that January, springtime, I can't remember when it was, but during that whole time period, I started. We saw a doctor at UCLA. I can't remember which one first. I went and saw them there. They told me no more football. I saw another one in San Diego, and they told me the same thing. So I got two more opinions. And both of them were like, hey, no more football. So I was like, okay. So at that point, it was kind of like, I can't play. I'm being told I can't play football no more, pretty much. I was starting to get back into shape because just in hopes that I was going to play. I was like, if this opportunity presents itself and I want to hit the ground running. So I started to get back into shape. And then when I heard that second opinion, it was tough, but I did prepare myself mentally for that because I was like, it's going to be hard based on the X-ray results and then based on the opinion of two other doctors, for that third one to give me the green light. And, even if it was that third one were to say yes, I still had two others who said no. So it's like you got to go with, the ratio there. So at that point,
it was crazy though. It was crazy for being so young, man. At that time, and you're dealing with all these you're dealing with the person in a fragile mental state because, like you said, you're broken because they're taking something away from that you love. From that point, and then for you to make such mature and adult sound rationales, your rationale and very adult-like, because at the age of 19, bro, we're not mature at all. We're basically just 1 year removed away from high school.
Yeah.
We get excited when the wind blows and someone talks about Madden, right? We're excited when somebody challenges you in Madden. That's the biggest thing that's going on. So the fact that the matter that you're at this mental state in your career that I'm hearing you're rationalizing these adult decisions. Like you're eliminating things going on. Very mature for one. And two, that you're able to digest the things that were going on with you and kind of figuring out, okay, almost planning what's my next move, right? You're forward thinking at that point, which is a great trait, obviously, to have for anyone. But you're forward thinking at that point. And I think that kids need to understand that mental state part, right? Because you described it, you didn't say it directly, but you're going through depression.
Yep.
Then you're having anxiety.
Yep.
And then, you had somewhat of an eating disorder because of your anxiety and your mental state. Then you have to go through this thing called hope. We're hoping if it's going to work out or possibly, and then we gotta redirect ourselves again based on these doctor decisions, what I'm going to do. And I think the age we are now, and especially the age you are now, I can process it and understand it. At 19, man, those are things that most 19-year-olds don't have. I think some in your similar situation to run into injuries or things, they got to start kind of thinking that way, right? In order to progress a career or at least redirect what they want to do in life. Because at the age of 19, football is all and end all, right? It's everything to us when we're at that age. That's like we're really only in school to play football at that point. We're not even concerned about the grades or anything. We're there to play football. So I think that mental state part, man, I think that's really a big highlight. Not even to interrupt you, but I really want kids to understand depression is real, especially when it comes with injuries or things like this. Anxiety is definitely real when you come to those situations, and definitely, like I said, those vices, either eating or not eating or not sleeping, those things kind of come in, and when those vices kind of come in because you're in a state of depression. Is that a fair statement, at least in your situation, to kind of what's going on?
Oh yeah, sure.
And I think, and I'm going to say you were able to have a family dynamic to help you kind of push through it, right? Your family, either your circle was able to help you push through, whether it was your family, friends, and a combination of yourself.
Yeah,
there's a lot of kids that don't have that.
Family, all that stuff. Yeah,
but there's kids that don't have that stuff. So I guess what I'm getting to the end of this is, if you don't have that support mechanism, or if you don't know the support mechanism, please reach out to somebody. Because as we know, if you fall deeper and deeper in that stuff, that's where it comes in. I hate to say it, but painkillers, a lot of alcoholism comes into it. Young alcoholism comes into it with athletes. Drugs, obviously, and just you fall deeper and deeper into prison. So please address it if you're feeling that way. And I'm glad you kind of talking about it. But even if you're a high school athlete to college, if you feel that way, really please reach out to someone to kind of get you through that rough time. Because like you said, you're in a dark spot. You're in a really dark place at that point. And continue. I'm sorry to interrupt you, man, but I want to make sure we highlight those things when we're talking when kids understand it.
You're good. And that those things you said are important. And at the time, I didn't see it, but I look back and I was very blessed because my mom, who I used to think irritated me all the time, was there for me all the time. My grandma, who passed a couple years ago, was always there for me. My younger sister, she was there. I mean, I could name a bunch of people. My uncle. I mean, I could name people. I had just a former high school coach. Like I had what I needed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, I didn't have what I wanted, which was to be able to play football. But moving past that, I mean, I still, after that, I had to swallow that pill, and it was tough. But I was still going through it a little bit mentally. So this time I think I'm in my third year of college, and actually before that, I was thinking about I was like, I don't want to go to college anymore. I'm done. I was put on academic probation at Arizona, right? And then that was alarming to me because I was like, if I actually flunked out of here right now, I was like, football's done for me. I can't go to junior college and play and then get back on somewhere. I was like, what am I going to do? So I think that next semester I had like a 3-point-something GPA. I kind of honed in and did what I needed to do. And then, like I said, I started working out, and I just fell in love with working out just because I saw what it was doing for me mentally, and then kind of how my body was changing. And then now I still work out all the time because just it all correlates. So I kept doing that. And then one day I was, I can't remember if this might have been a year 6 months to a year later. I can't remember. I was on the beach. I was back home in the summer. I was on the beach and I was just sitting there and I was like, I'm tired of this. Like, I want to coach football, And at this time, like, I had 2 years left of, and fortunately, like Coach Rodriguez and those guys were, they allowed me to continue to finish my degree, even though I was put on academic probation. That's still, at the time hurts those AP points. So, but I started to get my grades up, so that was good. I was taking care of my business, but I remember just sitting there out of nowhere. I was like, I want to coach football. And then it's crazy the way things work, because I think like a week later, one of the local Arizona reporters, who now is like a reporter for like the New York Giants beat writers, he randomly emailed me. I think, I barely checked. I was like 20 or 21. Like, you don't check your email at that age. Check my email. Like, hey man, I want to catch up with you. See what you've been doing since you stopped playing, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, this is crazy. I was just saying I want to, like, in my mind, I was like, I want to coach. So then he comes to, they did the Pac-12, they had the Pac-12 Media Day in LA. So he comes down to San Diego, buys me lunch and, whatever. And he does like an interview. And I just, I throw it out there, like, I want to get into coaching, so that article publishes, and then I get a text from Coach Smith, and Coach Smith's like, hey man, when are you going to come see us? And I was like, Coach, I'll be there soon, so so at that time, schedule changes. I'm like, all right, I'm not coming. I was like, I'm coming back for fall camp. So I pack my stuff. I go back. I see Coach Smith. I talk to Coach Rodriguez. It's funny because he was in football mode, and Coach Smith knocks on his door. He's like, who is that? And he's like, it's Coach, he's like, it's Rod. And then he comes out and he's like, basically he was kind of in that mood, like, leave me alone right now. And he comes out and then he sees, and he was excited to see me. He's like, Pierre, how you doing? And, so we started talking. And I just told him what I've been up to. And I told him, hey, I want to get into coaching and all this stuff. And he was like, you know what, I'm going to talk to the staff about it and then we'll see. And then, he's like, I'll let you know tomorrow. Well, I went home, or I probably found out, he said, we'll see tomorrow. I found out probably 2 or 3 hours later. One of the best days of my life, because I called my family, told them, and it was exciting because I was like things are moving in the right direction. So that's how I got started coaching, and I was a student assistant. Everyone, teammates, coaches, equipment, everyone welcomed me back with open arms. Equipment hooked me up at that time. Probably got like 8 pair of shoes, probably like 20 shirts, 20 hats. I got it. Coaching is cool. So. No, that's how I got started, but it was crazy the way it happened. So
I think your journey is one of the best journeys I've ever heard, because, like you said, you went through so much to get there, and then you actually spoke it into existence, right? And I know Coach Rich Rod, and I know Coach Smith pretty good, and Rich Rod is a dude. He's a high energy dude that goes around. So, for that, and got a lot of credibility for someone like him to, to open his arms to you and say, I want you to this program. I think that's huge. And it just speaks to your character as well to bring you back like that. And, beyond that, brother, let's talk about it. You worked your butt off to get where you're at now. It ain't like it was an easy journey when you stepped into coaching. You've been moving up the ladder since day one, since you got there, from like you said, from a student assistant, all the way to where you're going now, where you're the DB's coach at Idaho State. And I think this is, we're just cracking the ceiling right now. So let's talk a little bit about Idaho State. What led you there?
Yeah, well, first I want to say this: I'm the corners coach. The safeties coach is actually no. I just know because the safeties coach is actually Evan Holiday, he's a San Diego kid. We came to Arizona together, and he played at Mission Hills. But we both cross-train the guys. But I just want to throw that out there. But I'm still a DB's coach. But I'm specifically the corners coach. No. Yeah, I don't want to. He'll give me some crap for that if I don't address that. But no,
I got you, brother.
Yeah, so I just started student assisting in 2016, right? And then, I talk about all the stuff, life. I mean, everyone deals with stuff, right? So, like, my adversity did not stop when I had to stop playing. Trust me. Like, I mean, it was tough after that. So I started coaching in 2016. I had that was tough starting to coach, but I was a junior in college academically. Um, And so I did that. I had a blast. That was fun. 2017, I'm in my last year being a student assistant. I'm getting ready to graduate that December. We have a pretty good year. You know what I mean? Like we had a Heisman candidate quarterback. Like things were moving in the right direction. I was having a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew in the back of my mind, like, okay, I want to coach. I graduate in December. That scholarship check's going to stop coming in. Like I got to figure something out ASAP. So um, one day, the defensive coordinator, Coach Yates, and I started to sit in on those defensive meetings a little bit just because, I was,
Yeah.
we had a good relationship. I had a good relationship with those guys. So I started sitting in some of those meetings. But one day he just called me in the defensive meeting room, and we were just talking. He was like, if I offered you the defensive graduate assistant job for January, would you take it? And I was just like, I don't know. I don't know anything about defense. I know
Mm-hmm.
what cover three is. Starting, I know what quarters is. I know what man coverage is, but like I don't know how to teach it and play it. And then I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't. He was just like, I don't know. And he was like, He's like, well, the job's there. I'm gonna talk to Coach Rod about it and see
Mm-hmm.
if we can get you going. I was like, all right. So he. So this is probably like December, like the end of our season. We're getting ready to go to our bowl game. And then Coach Rodriguez is coming around. He's handing out Christmas cards. I hadn't heard anything about it at this point. Like I'm just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there. And then Coach, he comes. He hands me my Christmas card, a little cash in it, and he's getting ready to walk out of the office I worked in at the time. And then he's like, "Oh, by the way, you got the graduate assistant job. You're good to go. You just got to get into grad school." And I was like, "All right, like thank you."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
yeah, so then we go. So that was great. And then we go to our bowl game, um, which was a fun time, and I enjoyed that. We lost, but I knew like it was exciting knowing in the back of my mind like I'm still going to be a part of this program. Now I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
be uh, get my first job, right? And then we go to the bowl game, we lose the bowl game. I go home back to San Diego for the remainder of winter break, sitting there on the couch. It's probably like 9 o'clock, 9:30, whatever it is, and I'm sitting there like just getting ready to really go to sleep or whatever I'm doing. I'm watching ESPN, just watching highlights, and then all of a sudden the breaking news hits that Coach Rodriguez was fired, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude, really? Like I just got this. So at that point, then literally right after that hits on ESPN, we get a text, where Coach Rod just kind of that's kind of him not necessarily explaining what happened, but just saying like, um, hey everyone, I've just been informed of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm like, well, what do I
What's up
do?
with me? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was tough. And then he scheduled a team meeting, so I came back to Tucson earlier because I was like, I need to be around there and kind of be in the loop on what's going on. I can't just stay back here in San Diego the rest of winter break and just kick my feet up and hope something happens. So I go back there, and he handled things the right way. I mean, it was disappointing the way it ended, for
Mm-hmm.
everybody. You never like to see people get fired because so many people are
Correct.
impacted. But it was his sixth year. We were starting to trend in the right direction, and just some things came out, and I don't want to get into it or nothing, but some things came out that weren't true,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that hurt him, and he had to tell the team that, he had to tell the staff that, and I mean,
Yeah.
even his wife, the same thing, so they both addressed the team, and then, you know, they, they left and just kind of went on about things. So then, then the coaching rumors start going around like who's going to be the next head coach, and
Mm-hmm.
at that point, everyone's just trying to hang on for dear life, and then it's just little old me, who just graduated from
Yeah.
college. I'm sitting there just looking around, and everyone else is like picking up their phone, they're making calls, doing whatever they're doing because they've been doing it for years. So they've got
Mm-hmm.
some of them are in position to land on their feet, and then some people, like me, they have no clue what to do. Um, so they end up hiring Coach Kevin Sumlin. Um,
Uh-huh.
and he retained the defensive coordinator, Marcel Yates. They had history together. at Texas A&M because Coach Yates was his corners coach and passing game coordinator for like a couple years there. So he retained him.
Mm-hmm.
So that spring, I had to basically, I didn't know any of the staff, like who Coach Sumlin brought in other than Coach Yates. So there was just a lot of other hires that had to be made before you kind of solidify like who your GAs are. So
Yep. Right.
I think Coach Yates was one of like the two coaches he kept on staff from Coach Rodriguez's staff. So I volunteered through that spring, which was tough because I wasn't like I was just earning my keep on a day-to-day basis, you know, and it
Yes.
got to a point where like I was starting to build relationships with those other coaches on staff, and Coach Yates already knew me. I was starting to just put in work, and I was working for free, and it was okay at the time because I just graduated college, and there was just, you know, that GA hire was just so down on the things that were important at the time. So you know, I talked to Coach Yates about it. Got to a point where I was just like, hey, you know, Coach, I need to know what's going on. So he went and addressed it, and then he came and told me, he's like, hey, I think this was like June at the time, and then he was like, I don't know what you've been doing, or he's like, you know, he did know, but he's like, whatever you've been doing, keep doing it, because I just went to ask him. They said you're doing a really good job, and the job's yours. So I was there for 3 seasons as a graduate assistant, and then. After my second season, Coach Yates was let go, and a new defensive staff came in, and I got to work with them as well for the COVID season. And then we went to the COVID season. We didn't even think we were playing. Like that was a tough year for everybody. But
yeah,
I mean, just between opt-outs and some of our better players transferred because the Pac-12 canceled their season, and just all kinds of stuff, and just trying to abide by every single rule that medical experts were putting on us. We go into the season. We're playing like true freshman walk-ons. Like it was like, you know. So we play the first game. It's my last year as a graduate assistant. Play our first game against USC. They score on the last to win, and then from there, you know, we finished the season 0-5. We lose to Arizona State 7-7. So then. Coach Sumlin was, I do want to say first, I'm very thankful Coach Sumlin let me be a part of that staff. Things didn't turn out great in terms of wins and losses, but I built some great relationships amongst that staff. But yeah, he was let go, and from there again, so I was part of 2 staffs that got fired at Arizona. The new head coach came in, wasn't really interested in keeping me in some capacity, which, you know, it's like, okay, you know, it happens. Yeah. Good luck to you, you know. So then so at that point, like, again, you know, I did get my master's in December, but at that point I'm like, well, what do I do? Like, everyone I've worked with the last few years is like, they've been fired, and you know, they're trying to figure it out for themselves. So then I go coach at Modern Day Catholic for the spring COVID season. So I do that with however many games that was. I think it was 5 or whatever. And then June, San Diego State needed a DBGA. So I interviewed there, got the job. Great season last year. Learned a lot. Made some great relationships. I always wanted to come back to San Diego State, you know, at some point, and it was, and then, you know, you fast forward to the off season, and I was like, well, I'm ready to be a position coach now. You know, like I'm confident, like I'm ready to do this. So a couple things kind of popped up in the off season, but nothing really came to light. So some transition happened here over the past 6 months. And the head coach, Coach Regal, and I got in contact, and basically he presented the job to me. Coach Regal was at Arizona that whole time I was there. You know, he was the special teams coordinator, and it was tough because like I was like, I'm in San Diego, like I'm close to family. I was like, I'm at San Diego State, but like I want to run my own room. You know, I want
exactly.
And they were letting me coach and stuff there and letting me voice my opinion. but I just like I'm an alpha. You know what I mean? So I was like, I got to be a voice, and so
Yeah.
it was tough, just like sitting there, just waiting my turn. And I was like, my turn presented itself, and I have so much respect for Coach Regal, who's the head coach here. I like how he goes about business. He always treated me with respect. And 6 years ago, my first year as a student assistant, I didn't realize that was an interview for a job. Now,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he just
Full
called me. He was like,
full
I know
circle.
you. Yeah,
Yeah, man. I think see, that's again another journey that you went through. Again, taking on that adversity. Your character speaks volumes. Just hearing you speak and how you go about things, it speaks so many volumes. So I can see why this opportunity has presented itself. So now you're in your first year coaching there. You guys getting ready for season. Everything is going. But we're gonna talk a little bit now about how you guys how you're gonna get the players that you want and what you're looking for in those players. So first thing I want to talk about, what are you looking for in film when you're recruiting kids?
Yeah, well, first, my area is going to be San Diego, so that's been solidified. So I'm excited to hit the ground running there and build on some relationships that are already established and start some new ones. Uh, the first thing you do is you watch the film, right? And then, you identify if he's a good player or not. And then obviously that's the first step. The next step is, that the character, the academics. But I can't speak for other positions or anything like that. But really, it's like there's obviously physically, there's obviously some things we like to get in terms of height, weight, speed, all that stuff. At the end of the day, it's like, are you one of the better players are you one of, if not the best player on your high school team? Do you play tough? Do you play fast? And then obviously, like, do you love football? I could get into positionally what I'm looking for, but every situation is going to be different. But the way I'm going to evaluate, in terms of DBs is, do they play with athletic confidence? Are they one of, if not the best athletes on the field every time they take the field? And then, do they have great want to in the contact courage? Do they have ball skills? How well they run? And then from there, obviously your academics. But I want to know like what kind of person you are. And I just talked to you about my journey. Like every kid's not going to be perfect. I know that. Like I wasn't the perfect 16-year-old, but like is it something I could work with to where it's like I can. Because my job as a coach is to develop you into a place where you can't get yourself. And, I do think, you have to meet halfway, in that standpoint. So, so that's getting that information from coaches, high school coaches, 7-on-7 coaches, and getting like real answers on that. Because, I do think the on the field and off the field and how you carry yourself, I think that stuff definitely correlates. But
that's interesting. That's interesting you say that though, because you're in a unique place. Let's be honest with you. Portobello or Idaho is completely different than the city of San Diego. Yeah. So I know he wasn't your teammate. I think he's your baby brother. You're from your alma mater, Isaiah McDaniels, where he was at South Dakota.
Yeah,
you were in South Dakota.
Yep.
I was talking to him, and we were talking about the small town, how small town factor. There's things that you have to adjust to by being there and have an open mind. And we talked about the revolving door. There's guys that can come in there and adjust right away and be able to be adapted to those small cities and small towns and buy into the culture, because the culture is the big thing. And there's guys that just cannot. And he goes, that's the toughest thing, because there's chameleons, right? They come in, they say they want to buy it, they want to be able to do it, but they get to Portobello, and then 4 or 5 months later, especially if they're frustrated with their playing time or frustrated with something, they start to become that cancer, right? They start to become, some of them start to become that cancer. They start to become, very non-productive in what you guys are trying to build. How can you minimize that as a coach? What are you going to do to try to minimize those types of things?
Yeah, I'm from San Diego, a big city. So, and even like going to Tucson, like I got homesick like crazy. Like I was, that's a bigger school, but I got homesick bad, so, but my thing is this, like, I can't sell a kid to come to a school, especially a small town, and then, not be a constant resource and be available for them once they get here. It's not like, oh, just get here, you figure it out. Like I got to be like their whatever they need, big brother, uncle, a father, whatever they need. But I have to like constantly be there to help them adapt to that, because they're not gonna, unless it's a JUCO kid in some situations or a
Mm-hmm.
transfer in some situations, they're not gonna be able to adapt to that type of lifestyle right away, right? So that's where I come in as their coach, recruiting area or position coach, and I'm available to them. Like, hey, it's not San Diego, but I am saying, like,
Yeah.
I'm from San Diego, like it's right there, like, so they can feel that energy, like it's still there, but we're here to to evolve, to elevate and get better. And I think that's the benefit of being at a place like this, even for
Mm-hmm.
me, where there's some stuff to do, but for the most part, like, there's not much distraction, so I can focus on my craft. They can focus on their craft. It'll make me a better coach. It'll make them a better player, and they'll be better for it. But it's not. I mean, regardless of where I was at, I can't get kids to come here or anywhere and then just say, "Hey, you're on your own." That's not fair. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's tough. But there definitely has to be, like I said, they got to meet me halfway there. If something's going on or you're having trouble, you got to be mature enough or willing enough to come talk to me and tell me about what you're going through, so we can fix that. But there's definitely some things I got to identify in that recruiting process that lets me know that they're capable of adapting to an environment like this.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's like, hey, if you got goals and you're willing to do what it takes, you'll adapt and you'll get. It doesn't matter where it's at or anything like that. So finding out those things and then having that relationship with those coaches is important, because I got to be able to trust them too,
Yeah.
because they're a big part in who I take and offer and all that stuff. So yeah, but that's on me too, just as much as it is on them when they come to college.
Yeah. My son coaches as well, and he tells me definitely you got to find out that line of communication when you're talking to recruits, like where are they at on their levels of communication, because you can have the introvert kid, you have the kid that's that can pretty much articulate themselves pretty well on certain things and can on things, and you have the kid that can really articulate himself to what's going on. He goes, you got to really be able to find that fine line when you're dealing with recruits to understand who you're getting with as a person, because that'll let you know how to communicate. One, how you dictate and talk to them, and two, how you can make them feel more comfortable as they come and become a part of your culture and your program. So he's like, you just got to identify those things when you're talking to kids. So, obviously you guys have recruit mechanisms to kind of do that. But when he always used to tell me that, I used to always think that was pretty interesting, like how you have to connect the lines with communication. Because he would say, I'll talk to a prospect, and if his parents is dominating the conversation, I have to kind of figure out where I could talk to him personally to see where he's at. And he goes, and then you have some kids that can hold their own. They don't need their parents in the room when you're talking to them. And then you have some that can really hold their own. They know exactly where they want to go and what's going on and how it is. So I know he said that's a big part of recruiting, which I think a lot of people don't even understand that part, especially recruits. You have to be able to, when you're speaking to a coach, you need to be able to articulate yourself and articulate how you feel about the process and talking to them what's going on. I think that's not only a gauge of a scholarship, it's a gauge of your character when you're talking to them, which is really important. In the realm of offers, because I told you before we came on, these non-committable offer things are kind of like blowing up, man. And I'm gonna give you some scenarios, and I know you even know some players are like this. School comes in, your junior or beginning of senior year, school offers you. ABC school, university offers you. Big school. You get through the season, you had a pretty good season, but you're not getting the offers you want. And then you say, okay, ABC school, I want to commit. But it's a non-committal offer. Those guys, basically was a stakeholder to kind of keep you on the bubble until they found somebody better. And then they went ahead and offered that spot. And now this kid is in limbo. He has no other offers. He has nothing going on. Or he doesn't have any of the offers that he thought it was going on. And this is something that I see that's trending in a lot of schools. How do you feel about that? Because I know why schools do it. Well, let me explain myself. I know why schools kind of do it. But then also I don't think a lot of college coaches articulate or explain it to kids and parents the right nature so they can understand so they continue to kind of make it the right maneuver for themselves in their future. So tell me how you feel about non-committable offers.
Yeah, it's a different ball game now than it was obviously when I was getting recruited. I graduated high school in 2013. I started getting recruited 10 years ago, 2012. Way different. Um, like every school is different. So some schools, I'll say this: some schools can afford to um, give out non-committable offers.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, first, let me start off by saying this: if you are a prospect who is getting those offers, there needs to be some realistic conversations had with your high school coach, whoever is handling your recruiting, and they got to be real with you from the jump. And that, to me, that coach has to be real with that person too. Like, hey man, I'll give you this offer, but if this guy wants to commit here, he can't. That communication has to happen right away, because the last thing you want to do, which I don't agree with, is lead a kid on, and then all of a sudden it's time to pick up that phone, make a decision, and it's like, you either ignore the call or you just tell the kid like, hey, we're not doing this because X, Y, and Z. That's not fair. But I see some merit to it too, because it's nowadays it's kind of like if some guys just like to get in the game on guys, and they like to project guys, and the best way to do that is to offer them, and then they'll handle it on the back end. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, because I don't want to burn a relationship with the high school coach or whoever's handling the recruiting. Like that's not fair. But if you're going to do those things, you have to be transparent about that from the jump, in my opinion. I'm not going to sit here and say like I'm never going to be in a situation where I have to throw out a non-committable offer, because if the head coach wants me to do those kinds of things, that's what I have to do. Yep. And if I'm ever a head coach, I don't know, I might have merit to doing that too. I don't know. But the important thing is that communication has to happen from the jump, because you offer a kid, he tweets it, whatever, he's excited, and then it's like, well, did you get that official offer letter? And then if you did, can you call and commit to that school? Me, when I was in high school, I could have called any one of the schools who offered me and be like, hey, I'm coming. And they would have been like, great, we're lucky to, blah, blah, blah. Now it's obviously not like that. And that's why we're having this conversation. But, I can't sit here and say like, I know like San Diego State, I'll use them as an example. When I was, I used to always wonder, like, why don't they like offer kids so much? Like, well, everyone talks about it all the time, right? Yeah. Like and I used to think the same thing. I went there, and they have valid reason for doing that. When they offer kids, they want it to be real, and especially local kids, because the last thing you want to do is have, Coach, I'm not going to use any specific names, but Coach so-and-so in high school in San Diego, him get pissed off because you offered and recruited this kid, and then you're like, we don't want him. And it's like, well, how can you do that? You're not, so I think in terms of relationships and trust and communication, you got to pick and choose your battles, or you just avoid the situation as a whole, and the offers you make are real. But the biggest thing, again, is like, like me as a coach, if I'm going to give a non-committable offer, the kid will know that, the coach will know, or whoever's handling the recruit will know that from the jump, so that, I've done my due diligence there, so that they know when it's all said and done, hey, if, unless I'm the one calling and telling you or sending you that official offer, like, you can't call and commit because we can't take you. That's the best way to handle it. But,
I want to interject, though. I think also it's not just you guys' fault as coaches, there's not a fault, but it's just not you as a coach that needs to be understood. Kids and parents that are engaging with you need to be able to ask those questions and understand what that means. So educate themselves on what a non-committable offer is. Or when a coach is saying, hey, you know what, I want to give you an offer, they need to be able to ask those probing questions. Hey, is this a committable offer or a non-committable offer? And me personally, I would say put you on the spot. Please explain what the non-committable offer means in regards to your institution. What does that mean for me as a player? Like, where does it become a committable offer? Why am I in limbo as a recruit? Why come I'm not getting committable? I think kids are afraid to ask those questions when it pertains to their future. And I'm not understanding. I understand why, but I mean, they need to be able to have enough confidence in themselves and engage themselves in those conversations with you as a coach and ask those questions, because at the end of the day, this is all about the recruit at the end as far as the future is concerned. Like, where am I going to land? So I can't call you 15 times and keep asking you 15, 20,000 questions when we're having these things. I mean, I can, but it starts to become overbearing. I think they need to be prepared when they're having those conversations with you to have that list of questions with you and say, hey, Coach P, what does this mean? How does that pertain to me? When will you let me know when it is a committable offer? When will be a great time to follow back up with you? Can you explain the definition of this? Where does this land? Do I get to take a trip to the school? They need to have those questions lined up instead of just being, hey, I'm ready to tweet this out. I got an offer. Because now we're giving all these false pretenses, and then at the end it's disappointment, right? It's a lot of disappointment and frustration. And I hate when the kids get led on because they always act on the program. They screwed me over. Well, no, they didn't screw you over. You didn't get educated to what they're talking about. The process is and figuring it out. Now, if I know where I stand, then I know I can make another maneuver. Like, okay, well, they gave me a non-committable offer, so I'm gonna still keep shopping myself to X, Y, and Z schools. I say use it as a leverage. I got offered from Idaho State. Well, until the other recruiter asked me was it a committable or non-committable offer, he doesn't know. But that goes on my resume now, right? To push myself to get more recruiting, and that's something I would ask you too. Coach, is it okay for me to shop myself to other schools even though I got this non-committable offer? How do you, what's you got to engage yourself with you guys, and I think people are afraid to have this conversation with you, whether it's the prospect or the parents, and I think that's where the misunderstanding comes, because it's not explained right. Yeah. All I hear is offer, right? 18 years old, 17 year old, 16 year old, all I hear is offer. I got offered by such and such. Yeah. But there's an explanation behind it, and I think there's a poor communication on a lot of the coaches that explain it, and there's not enough pull from parents and kids to ask to explain what that is. And I think the audience needs to understand that. They really need to get a very definitive answer when you get offered and what that is. Yeah. And ask those questions to coaches and whoever. And I think hold coaches accountable. I really do, because you're the adult of this situation and I'm the prospect. Hold them accountable to make sure they explain it to a way that you can understand it and what it actually means, what the way it pertains to your future. Because if you don't ask that question, you're gonna be in the loss. You just are. It's me and you both know it's a complicated process. It is. It's a complicated, and it changes. It can change daily depending on, or at least changes every week when you go on your Tuesday recruiting meeting. It can change every time you go on your recruiting meeting. Oh, he's an offer kid this week. We're gonna go ahead and go get him. The next Tuesday, no, we found another guy. We're gonna pull, we got another guy we're gonna go after. So I think they need to ask those questions and really be engaging with coaches such as yourself when it comes to that point. After you after you give your explanation, get to a point where they can understand what it means. Because if you don't, me and you both know we've seen prospects. They thought they had something and it's not there. Yep. I thought I was going to school. I was there. It's pulled. They pulled it. They said it was a non-committable offer. And not you guys' programs, but I've seen programs kind of hide behind that when they see a better prospect. There's a kid they're going on really, really full bore. They're right on the crust. They're telling this kid everything he wants to hear, and then right at the last minute they pull the wolves because they got a JC transfer or they got a transfer from a portal transfer guy that they got to get that money to, and now this young person is kind of hanging to dry. And that's the nature of the beast nowadays. And that's why I want kids to be more engaging and asking questions. So what do you feel about that? Do you think they should, or should the explanation be left up to you as coaches to these prospects, or what is that what I'm saying? What I'm saying, is that a right way to approach it? Do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's, again, going to have different opinions on it. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say I'll never do that. But if or when I do that, the player will know, or the prospect will know, and then whoever's handling his recruitment will know as well. And they'll know that if something were to change in terms of it being a non-committable offer, that I will let them know that. But I can't speak for everyone, but I hear stuff all the time like, social media is a great thing, but it's also like becoming
yes.
That's what all this is coming from. And I know guys are nowadays the recruiting narrative is so pushed where like, some guys think people are good recruiters, because they're getting tagged in tweets of offering kids. I'm like, last time I checked, a good recruiter is somebody who can identify talent, character, develop it, and then produce it on the field. Like, but nowadays, it's some people see it as like, oh, I always see this guy. They don't say it, but they just see, oh, so and so offers, and it changes the narrative, and then the kids are really the ones who fall victim to it, But there's tough decisions and tough conversations that are going to have to happen in the recruiting process. There's tough tough conversations you got to have with your players on your current roster too. Like those times are they're bound to happen at some point. But the last thing I think it starts with us as coaches. We can't fall victim to the moment. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I think that's happening a lot sometimes, and it's I think. But if you're going to do that, there's nothing wrong with it. But again, that could, last thing I want is a 16 or 17-year-old calling me, and then he's thinking he can commit to our program or his family or and like they can't. Like I'm not. I can't. Now if I told them already from the jump, no, you can't, and then they're still calling me.
That's something different. Yeah, that's a different conversation. Absolutely. But what I'm saying is that they hey, we offered you. Even if they say the non-committable offer, it's a non-committable offer. It's not explained, right? Because you hear offer. Offer's the trigger point. Non-committable and all that stuff is irrelevant if I don't know what it means. I'm not really. I don't even understand what that means at a 16, 17-year-old. I just think the explanation needs to be done, or even maybe if universities, and maybe I'm holding coaches just to a higher state. Maybe they need to send out communication when they do that. Maybe it's not an official letter, but maybe they need to send some communication what a non-committable offer is so they can understand. Because in today's climate and recruiting, with the portal, with JC, and all these things going on, if you offer my son today, he's going to senior year, and you offered him an offer, and he's like, hey, I'm going to commit to Idaho State, and I'm just using an example. He's going to commit to Idaho State, and all of a sudden, hey, we come to December when it's time to early signing day in November. We're like, okay, we're ready to sign and commit, and then you're like, oh well, we can't sign you right now. So now, I just missed out on these Division II schools that were recruiting my son. I missed out on this because I thought that was in the bag, just because I didn't understand what the process of a non-committable offer is. And I think that's on both parts. I think high school coaches, prospects need to educate themselves on what that means. And I think it needs to be a better explanation when it comes to some recruiters that are out there recruiting these kids, to let them know that, hey, explain it a little bit better so they can understand it. Not just say it, just to say it, to be like I told him it was not going to offer, but you telling me that and not making me understand is just as detrimental than me just saying it. I think it needs to be explained in a better way, and kind of go that way. And I like your approach, like you said, you making sure the lines of communication are open all the way to from the process from the beginning to the end. But as we both know, that's not the case in all these programs. A lot of these guys, especially these young guys that really want to get their name out there and really be, get the ball rolling, they be hot shots, they get that clearance. So I'm going to just offering. And so sometimes that's very detrimental. I think they don't see the back end, the damage it does sometimes to some of these young people, which I think that's the unfair part, unfortunately. And I know everything can't be hunky-dory, but, at least we can minimize it, hopefully, in a lot of situations.
Yep, absolutely.
So, man, I kept you for an hour, brother, man, a little bit over an hour. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, and I can tell you why before we go. I appreciate you for several ways, and I've never met you face to face. Well, I think I met you face to face, but you were a young buck. I was just kind of roaming around. I think I got introduced to you. But I really do appreciate you because I've seen you grow from afar. Like, I know Coach Jackson and all them, and I remember you was a little baby brother to Robbie when Robbie was playing. You were the up-and-coming guy everybody was talking about right after Robbie left. And I've seen you grow and mature, and, I knew a little about your journey going through Arizona and everything. And I think for me as another black man talking to you, man, I really do appreciate, one, the way you've matured through this whole process, the way you've been able to overcome your adversities that you've had in the sport of football that we both love, and then been able to take that and make a career out of it. And the fact of the matter that you're here to give back to our community and other young men and helping these other men strive to achieve their goals. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, because being in the little bit of business I do with help working high school kids, as far my little scratch on the surface is minimal to you, because you're changing lives and their family trajectory of what they're going to do in the future by just helping them get their education and allowing them to play football. So to me, brother, I salute you for real, and I really do appreciate what you're giving back to the community.
I appreciate it. And thank you for having me. I think these things are good to have. That's one thing. Thank you for all that. I appreciate it. I really do. And I think like people need to be willing to talk and be honest. And that's part of, like, when I hear people talk and share some of their stuff, I'm like, we got something in common. Like, and you start to, it gives you a different perspective on stuff. It makes you appreciate your life. You learn a thing or two. And I think these things have to happen more. I think, people have to be willing to share their success, obviously, but be real about some stuff they've been through, and be willing to give back little bits and pieces of whatever they've learned, but also be willing to learn too. So, I appreciate you having me, and anything else I can do to.
We're gonna do it again. We'll do it again next year. We're gonna do it definitely again next year. But I know, man, you guys are reporting to camp. I know you guys got to hit the ball running. Hey, Idaho State, man, good luck this year. My boy Raven playing running back for you guys. I like Raven a lot. He's one of the running backs for you guys. I wish him the good luck from San Diego product. Man, I wish you guys the very best. And I know you guys are kind of in a building stage right now, but I hope you guys go ahead and upset a few people, man, to get you guys up on the map. And I'll be watching. I'm definitely checking out those stats to make sure you guys are doing really, really well. Coach, man, thank you, bro. Thank you for real. I mean, really, I really do appreciate you coming on, man, and sharing your story, because I think kids need to understand adversity, mental health, and how to overcome. And you embody all three of those things.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, cool.
San Diego prospects.
I got you, brother, man. Just wait. I'm making sure I'm sending you the right ones. That's what I'm making sure. I'm sending you the right ones. Everybody say send me everybody, and I'll be like, bro, he's not the dude, but I want to make sure I send you the right one. So I got a few more to send your way so you can start doing your evaluation. But man, you get ready for camp, brother, man. Y'all got fall camp. It's about to kick off. Matter of fact, before we go, how are you guys looking? How you looking?
Well, we just finished our first week of camp yesterday. We played week 0, so we started a little earlier than most.
Okay.
Yeah, we play UNLV, and then we play San Diego State our first 2 games. So everything just keeps coming full circle. But we're still in that relationship building, culture building phase. But the good thing that I'm seeing, I got here late. Like, my guy's been great, and I've been hard on him from the jump. I've been hard on him, but I've been positive too, because I'm a go-getter, and I want them to be the same, and I'm confident too. But I want to, continue to build on that. But it's been good day by day. I'm excited for the season. As cliche as it sounds, I don't know how we're looking this year until we play. So
there you go. I will tell you this, at least from and I know you guys watch a film. I'm gonna have to admit, I do like UNLV's defense. I do like their defense. Their defense, at least based on last year, their defense was fire. I don't know how good their offense is going to be. Their defense is fire. And I know watching you guys last year, and I seen one of you guys' game. You guys had a pretty decent, good passing game and a pretty good, decent run game. The O-line was a little bit, fractured a little bit from what I watched. Can't think as a whole, but I saw there was a lot of upswing. And I know you guys' defense is pretty much flying around pretty good. So, if I'm a betting man, I'm gonna take the odds, brother, man. I'm betting on Idaho State for them to upset. So I'm gonna rock with you. I'm gonna roll with you instead of for the win.
I'm excited.
Yeah, man. So you got one fan on this chair for you. So I'll be watching that late night ESPN game. Hopefully, if it's on there, they're catching the highlights, man. But good luck this year, man. Like I said, much success. We'll do it again as the season kind of tails in, especially back in the recruiting. And then hopefully we can do something face-to-face. I'm hoping to put together a panel in San Diego with a bunch of college coaches so kids can come there and you guys can answer some panel questions in the near future. And I would love to have you be a part of that.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
All right, cool, man. Thank you. Coming straight from the horse's mouth, Coach PC, Idaho State. Anything you want to take us out with, Coach?
good luck to everybody this season. I'm assuming there's a lot of football guys watching. Just good luck, and I hope you guys all achieve your goals. I know you all can't because some of you are competing against each other, but good luck, and we'll be in touch. And I'm always available to anyone who wants to reach out about anything. So
You want to give me your Twitter feed real quick, Coach? Your Twitter feed if you want kids to reach out to you, or you want to kind of keep that on?
It's Coach, and then it's PCORMIER. That's my Twitter. So reach out about anything. And obviously, as we start the season, I won't have much time, but get on the phone, off season, do some Zoom stuff, whatever. Just reach out, let me know. I'll be available.
Perfect. Thank you, Coach. Talk to you in the future. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.